Daysvale, we're continuing the season 2 of the Rise of Civilization series. Restart Rise of Civilization happening again, basically. And we will start over here, in this part of the world. This mighty pink nation ended up having problems. Too large. And there's 3 sections of importance. Basically, it's 3 areas to rule from. There's more divisions, but these end up splitting in 3, following the hardships and other things. Well, you can see there's more nations now after that collapse. It wasn't just collapse, expansion, which led to this nation, the East Coast nation, I guess you could call it, expanding south and occupying these lands. With them doing this, but then the purple nation, starts the same thing. To get back some lands that they believe is theirs. Oh well, during this pink nation joins in. Well, the collapse of this nation is inevitable. After a while, it just is forced to surrender. This nation surrenders. So let's see the peace treaty. Nation, after this war having been collapsed, start to collapse, as it lost a big chunk of its coast, lost a war, and its people aren't happy. So then comes a succession. You may think, oh, they can just reverse this. At this point, yes, you could say it. But then comes this area, which is upset that most of their territories got stripped away. And then you have this area, which is upset too that most of its areas got taken. And then the north, there's an area that's economy is doing better, but starting to go worse because of this situation. So they leave too. Now to get similar colors. Because for some reason I thought this was a good idea. Undo was a good idea. And that's not even a fancy new color. Well, you can see that was not a good thing. And then expansion by the purple country into the Arctic in the summer. Most likely, because they would freeze on this journey. With most people probably never going to be seen again after this journey. But that's part of it. Where is the nation I was going to expand? There has been some expansions and collapses already. But this country, the purple country, decides to launch an offensive. Decides to attack this country to expand its territory. And the nation nowhere near able to win this war. But then they give up. But one problem. Both of these nations may have accidentally spent too much on this war. Luckily, one side can use the gain they get here as a way to help with these losses. But 2 wars is not good for the economy. They just spent all their money. There's nothing they can do now, but hope nothing bad happens to them. Now let's go to this nation that's near the mountains. An area over here decides to leave the empire. It's a big area, big population. And you may say, oh, that's not a big deal, that's only one. One, you may think, well, actually, it's a bunch of nations up to about this mountainous area. That's what it looks like, with one over here, one smaller nation over here, one larger one up over here, and then this and that. Yes, a bunch of regions just decide to leave. You may say, well, that's not good. Which is true, but it could also be a good thing, because it did overexpand, leading to this problem. Well, we can see overexpansion is not a good idea in this series, because it leads to problems. You can really expand north while all this is going on. Now let's go to the expansion hungry nation. You may say, but they did a lot last episode. How can they continue? Well, for one, they use their strength to advance. But another nation decides to advance in. That's not a big deal, as the orange country cuts them off quick and then runs into this country. Is trying to form an empire. You can see this is this is a big expansion. And this is the border. Well, there's one nation in an expansionist hurry. Now, as you can see, in Europe, what would be our Europe, a lot of expansionism is coming from. Except a few collapses has happened here too. One. And well, that yellow country has a lot of expansion to do. They decide to go look around to find more areas to expand to. And by this, you can see literally expanding into this area. Surprised no other nation formed up here. With Mende up annexing these lands. But a rebellion launched against Brown Country, which fails. By Brown Country, I'll point out to the exactly which Brown Country. By Brown Country, I mean this. A rebellion takes place, an attempted coup against the government, whatever it is. And so the people get either executed or leave the country. So they go north where there's no country. And form their own rebellious state over here. And well, base it off this color. Let's go a bit lighter. And here you got the rebels. Well, except for this neat, edit undo. That didn't work well. Not working well either, but now it works well. With this happening, a bunch of countries expanding into this area. And then a bunch of people disagreeing with the rule of this nation decides to go north, which leads to them conquering these lands. Well, as you can see, this is a lot of nations are expanding forwards into this area. Collapse is almost certain. Certainly inevitable. But when collapse happens, it's hard to say. Once it does, it's going to be big. In some nations, expansion is important. An economic collapse occurs, and due to one problem to this nation. It's a colder than normal year, so their crops don't go right. And so they're starving. And the economy is collapsing. So areas that do have food at all just leave. Well, over here you can see them leave, over there, over here, and over there. This area is becoming more and more unrecognizable as the episode goes on. Well, you can keep guessing. There's a lot of colors we made. Wait, those might be the same color. Well, that's not a big deal, though. Now, for that color. And as you can see, the empire has crumbled. Well, the pink nation decides to expand up into here, which is making it impossible for other nations to expand. But in this empire, rebellion breaks out. What do I mean by rebellion? Well, there's a group of people that claim they want a group of people in this area wanting an empire. The people in this area feel like they're being mistreated, overtaken from, and stuff like that. Well, part of it is wrong. But this empire used to exist, I guess they claim. But did they really? I can't remember. I know a nation used to exist here. Well, they expand. Eventually, a peace treaty is agreed upon. It's called the Treaty of, I don't know. It's called the Treaty of Light Green. Well, that is kind of light green, I guess you could say, technically. Is it really? Well, now you can see a new nation just formed itself, which may or may not be empowering. The Yellow Nation moving in to gain lands from here. Well, their push into this nation goes pretty well. Well, they even conquer all the lands I want. Well, this nation pushes back. Only to fail. And lose the respect to different high-ranking officials in the nation, which are probably landowners. As I'm agreeing on the border here, with the Yellow Nation becoming strong, being known as the strongest nation of the North. But they don't know how stable it is. I don't know how stable it is. Probably unstable. Pretty unstable, I would say. Well, let's see what happens to this empire. Former empire, you could say, has shrunk too much. Well, this area with access to the coast leaves, followed by this area, the most wealthy area, leaving. Well, then this area leaves. No, not that. And then they annex the islands with it. That nation has just been collapsed due to aggressive expansionism. And that's pretty much all for today's video. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Wild Mapper out, but not until you subscribe. Bye, guys!